Hello everybody and welcome to Purple Bunch. Now if you're new to the channel, hey, thanks for joining us. And if you're new to Fun Factor, it's kind of like my review series to talk about kind of like the games, the graphics, the story, the gameplay, all these different aspects that makes a game, and kind of give you my thoughts about them. And then at the end, the main focus is how much fun did we have. That's the whole point of the fun factor. Did we have fun with the game? And that's all that matters at the end of the game. When we're playing a game or when we're watching a movie, at the end of the day, did we have fun? Did we enjoy it? And that's what I intend to get through in this video series. I found this game that I kind of just got on a Steam sale, and I didn't really think much about it. I just saw it was a Star Trek game. Not a huge Star Trek fan. I've only seen the movies and just a few episodes of the original show, but again, I'm huge in sci-fi. I saw Star Trek. I saw the Telltale style movie game, and I was like, I love sci-fi games. I love Telltale games. Let me give it a try. And this game ended up surprising me in a lot of aspects. Now I'm going to go and talk probably what's the main aspect of these Telltale or movie-esque games, I like to call them, and it's the story. The story is obviously the main part. It's the main reason we're coming to it, because we want to see how this interactive story kind of plays out, or interactive movie. Now, I can't, and for obvious reasons, won't go too much into the story and or spoilers into the story, so I'm gonna obviously have to avoid a lot of aspects. So I'm not gonna talk too much about plot points or anything like that, but you do end up playing two characters in the game, and in my opinion, both of them offer pretty cool, different, unique POVs. You play like an engineer down in the lower decks, and then you play second in command, and you're having to make big moment decisions for the whole ship. It is very interesting to see a lot of this play out and a lot of your choices taking effect. Overall, the story, if you're not huge into Star Trek, you'll still enjoy it quite a bit. It doesn't require too much information from previous Star Trek stuff, though if you are a fan of the original shows and stuff like that, there is a lot of connections to the original shows, including, from my understanding, the villains are from the original show. As a person who didn't know much about it, I still enjoyed the villain and still gathered the aspects and or reoccurring characters that did happen in this game. I really did enjoy him. Now, this is a little bit of a transition into the story to gameplay, because I'm going to start talking about the choices you have to make in these games. Again, no spoilers, but at the start of the game, you may feel like your choices don't matter, and that is something I went through in this game. I kind of was like, I feel like my choices don't matter. And again, that's a big problem with these adventure Telltale-esque games or movies, is you might not feel like your choices matter. But as you get further in this game, I ended up seeing the consequences of all these choices I was making. And the game even does this cool thing where it kind of gives you like a paragraph of how each character feels about your character that you're playing as right then and there. Again, you play two characters, so you get like two tabs to switch, and you can see the characters and what they think of each character, and it's kind of interesting to see that. But as I got further in, the choices I started making, I was like, oh no, the choices are playing out now. It just took a really long time, and I kind of wish it didn't take so long, but I am glad to have sat through it and played it and see the consequences coming out towards the end. Or it's even the midway to end of the game. It's not even just the end of the game. Sorry if I made it seem like it was just the end. But I do also want to talk about the gameplay. Like I said, this was kind of a transition to gameplay. The gameplay is pretty basic. It is a little bit more than most of the older Telltale-esque games would do, but it plays exactly like a lot of the original Telltale games. You kind of just wander, you look for objects to interact with, and then you make dialogue choices here and there. There are a few moments where you're on rails and you have to do a little bit of a shooting or shootout type stuff, but there's not a lot of those moments. There's also a few moments where you have to like fly a shuttle and stuff like that, and again, it's scattered, it's not a bunch. It was, in my opinion, a perfect mix of just focusing on the story, and then also, because we're being shot at and stuff like that, a little bit of a rail shooter, but not being too much of a focus of the game so that it focuses on the story, which is the main aspect. I will say there's a few moments in the rail shooting where it feels like on an on-rail shooter, basically. We did struggle a few times because it kind of felt a bit weird to aim and shoot. It wasn't the best at it, but it was kind of just there just to get the job done, just to be there, basically, kind of like hit a checkbox. But obviously it could have used a lot of work, in my opinion, to be a little bit more fun. Now the graphics are kind of a weird point in this game, because there's a few moments in the game where I'm like, this looks beautiful, this looks amazing, and a lot of that comes at random moments in the game. But the thing is, it's never really consistent, because in other moments I'm like, this kind of feels not that good looking at other moments. It switches a lot on the fly too. Like there's moments where I'm like, oh, this is such beautiful shot, such a cool background with the galaxy or the city. And then there's other moments where I'm like, this hallway feels a little bit bland, a little bit, because of like not too many contact shadows or anything like that. It feels a little flat at random moments, while other moments I was just kind of like, wow, this is pretty. The art style is really playing off on this. Again, it does have like a very interesting art style. I don't know how to play it off, because it's not going for a realism, but it's kind of going like a Telltale with the mask of like that Telltale cartoony look with a bit of realism on top of it. It's kind of weird. It isn't anything by the end of the day that distracted from the game overall, but I will say the graphics do leave quite a bit of room to be desired. And I hope if these developers, as it is their first game, I believe it's a development studio of a bunch of former Telltale developers, that maybe their next game they could hopefully have a bigger budget and be able to do a bit more. But we'll see. Because as I said, I feel like not too many people know about this game or even knew it of its existence, as the Steam reviews are pretty low and stuff like that. But by the end of the day, to talk about the fun factor at the end of the day, did I like it? Did I enjoy it? Did I have fun? Was I finding the story engaging? Now, I don't give any review numbers. If you're hoping me to say it's a 10 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10 or an 8 out of 10 or a 7 out of 10, you're not going to get that from me. I'm just going to tell you, did I like the game? Did I have fun? And would I recommend it? And at the end of the day, as this guy who was not a huge Star Trek fan, I really liked it. I actually had a lot of fun. I found the story engaging. There was a lot of curveballs with the story. Again, me going into this game, I was looking and focusing on the story aspect of the game. And I think the story obviously hits the ball out of the park in this game. I found it enjoyable, and I really do hope they maybe make a second season or something like that. Or I'm interested in seeing what these developers' next game is if they make another game. I really do hope so, because I see a lot of potential in this studio, in my opinion. Now, I did have a few problems with the gameplay, mainly some of the flying mechanics and or on-rail shooting could have used a bit more work, but since there's so few in between, I can overlook it. If there was a lot more than there was, I probably would have had a lot less fun, but again, it just left a lot of room to be desired for the shooting aspect and the flying aspect. But the basic Telltale looking around, interacting with the object, that plays perfectly fine, works perfectly well. So it doesn't do anything too well gameplay wise, but the story and the characters really made the game for me. I actually really enjoyed it. I thought it was a very engaging story, and I had a bunch of fun with the game. As someone who played it, and again, not a huge Star Trek fan, and the person I played it with, she wasn't a huge Star Trek fan, and she enjoyed it also just for the story aspect. We both had a great time, and I would say this is definitely a game you should give a try, especially if you like those Telltale style games and you love the sci-fi genre. As someone who's only watched the movies, I felt like it was a good mix of action and story, and I really enjoyed it, and I think more people should definitely give this game a try. It'd be a shame to not see what these developers have for us in the future.